What's up, Soul Fam? Chief says hello. But for real, what is up, my soul family? Thank you so much for showing up for yourself today and for watching another one, or maybe the first if you haven't seen my other ones, of my videos. I really appreciate the support, and I am so excited to bring you along this journey with me as I write my first book to be called Conscious Capacitance. So today I thought I would just get down to the seitan and potatoes of it all, if you will, and talk about what does conscious capacitance even mean. So generally, the way I like to put it in a short little snippet is it's going to be about how to consciously increase your capacity to tap into the dimension of love. So right off the bat, if you're operating I don't know, just kind of at the mainstream way of seeing things, you might think, oh, that's just some hippy dippy bullshit. But I'm going to break down for you what exactly it means to consciously increase your capacity to tap into the dimension of love so that you know I'm for real. So basically, I have an engineering background, so I have a pretty solid idea of the concepts around electricity and magnetism, and just in my own free time, I'm really interested in understanding the role consciousness plays in our reality, and I've learned a lot about like quantum physics. And at the base of it all, at the base of all these sciences and engineering equations that we build things in our physical reality with, is this uncertainty principle. And that uncertainty principle states that, so at the smallest level, you have an atom. Atoms are like the building blocks of life, that's what we label them, and you have basically like a nucleus in the atom surrounded by all these electrons. And the uncertainty principle states that the electrons, you can never determine the exact place an electron's going to be. So if you have a technical background, you know that like dealing with big objects like cars and buildings, you can generally say like when you apply these forces, this will be the result. But with an electron, we literally can never know exactly where it is. So until an experimenter looks at that electron and observes it, it's basically just an infinite field of potential. So what that says or implies or points to is that there is an infinite amount of ways that you can perceive this reality. And a lot of people are afraid to recognize that they have the power to perceive this reality in any way they want, so they kind of go along with what other people say. But once you start like opening your heart and being open to this idea of being the creator of your reality and taking radical self-responsibility for what shows up, you can legit tap into the dimension of love. Like if you affirm to yourself, like I see witnesses for love everywhere I go, and things along that line, you literally, like, that will show up for you. But you have to build up the capacity to receive it. So that's what this book is about. It's going to be about how to consciously increase your capacity to experience that dimension. Because when you think about it, I kind of talked about this in my previous video, you can really choose to believe whatever you believe, and at the root of everything, it's just a bunch of like vibrations, because like scientists agree that on the smallest level, these really small, even below the atomic level, these little small quarks and stuff, I forget what they're called, but they all have a spin to them. So kind of like how a laundry machine spins, you know, like a laundry machine spins and it also vibrates. So everything does have this vibration to it as well. And love it has a higher frequency. It does. It has a higher frequency. So if you have an engineering background, you might remember, like, if a circuit has a voltage going through it, so a current of electricity with a high frequency, the higher the frequency, the more power output that's going to be. So love is powerful. It is powerful, but it is a high frequency. And also, like circuits, in a closed loop circuit, if you if that wire is set to operate at like a max frequency of like 140 hertz, which is like cycles per second, but if it has like this cap, if you try to input a frequency higher than that, that shit's gonna burst. Like that circuit is done. It is out. It is exploded and no longer usable. So like just as is, like plopped into this reality and programmed from ages 0 to 3 as we are, because when you're 0 to 3, you're literally in this hypnotic state where you are just like downloading, like, I don't know how to process this crazy energetic world. So, okay, this person's doing that, this person's doing that. Like, you're literally like programming yourself. But, like, whenever you, so sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so plop down into this reality as we are. We have a certain capacity for the frequencies we can intake into our system. So we have a certain capacity for literally the dimensions that we can experience. Like, for example, like complaining and like gossiping, if you find yourself like there, like that's, oh, sorry, my cat is like freaking out. But if that's like a lower vibe, see, he knows. Complaining and gossiping is a lower vibe. It's like, it's not a vibe, that's not love. It's not. So if you're like operating in a realm where like that seems to be it, then that's like a certain dimension that you're perceiving all around you. Because we literally, like, you can look at something that your friend is looking at, like for example, like an artwork, like you can go to a museum and like you can have one person who's like, oh, my kid could do that. Like, why is this person charging thousands of dollars? But then you could have like someone else like crying in tears, like so deeply touched by this painting. And it's because of what they're perceiving and what dimension they're tapping into and how that's touching them. So if your goal is like self-actualization and experiencing reality, like you're on psychedelics 24/7 and recognizing your unity with everything, because it's legit possible. Like, it is possible to experience reality that way and operate where you have so much dopamine all the time that like life is just an awesome roller coaster, and you're able to face like perceived roadblocks as opportunities to empower yourself. It's just about like shifting your mindset. But when you shift that mindset, you can tap into this dimension where you're faced with love everywhere you go. But the reason that you have to consciously increase your capacity to do this is because if you're just like, yeah, love, bring it on, then your body, like if you just could experience heaven here on earth right now, your body would just like blow up because it's not ready. Like a wire that has a certain limit, your body also has a certain limit to what kind of reality you're experiencing. So if you are, and also like our sense of separate self, our ego, if you will, wants to keep us safe and comfortable. So if you grew up in a family that complained and gossiped and, you know, just low vibes, then that's what you're comfortable in. So you got to get out of your comfort zone a little if you want to grow, and if you want to experience heaven here on earth in this harmonious way of life, you got to get out of your comfort zone. It's kind of like how lifting weights, like you don't just get jacked overnight. Like you have to be consistent and intentional and like slowly build up that muscle over time, and then you'll be strong enough to do these like amazing feats that really strong people could do. So in a similar way, you have to build up your capacity to experience higher levels of consciousness. So it's sort of like with meditating. I remember whenever I went to a meditation group at my college, Penn State Barons, back in like 2018, and like I was so lost in my mind that like I couldn't even like grasp the concept of like if I'm not my thoughts, then like what the fuck else am I? Like of course I'm my thoughts, like that's me. Like it just didn't make sense. But it's because like my awareness muscle was like not there at all. Like so, but I was intrigued. There was like something inside of me that thought, okay, this is interesting. There's a lot of people who like claim that this meditation stuff like has made them transcendently happy and get rid of suffering, and who wouldn't want that? And it took, you know, a couple of decisions that made me suffer to realize, like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of living this way. I want to build this muscle, and I don't care how long it takes to build my own wave, because even if it takes years to build my own wave, that's way better than riding someone else's. And trust me, it is. It really is. So I started meditating every day. I started telling myself that, like, I was happy and, like, cultivating these elevated emotions even when I was in a position where I wasn't. And even though I didn't understand where that meditating would lead me, I just showed up every day for myself, worked on that muscle of awareness, and it grew and it grew and it grew to this point where I really do just feel like I'm in a dream sometimes, because life is that good. Like, I am creating my dream life from a place of love and service to the collective, and it is possible for you too. It's on the other side of your fear. You gotta face your fear, and you gotta consciously build up that capacity to tap into that dimension, but it's there for you when you're ready. So you gotta face some resistance. It's like with lifting weights, there's gonna be resistance, like the weight that is resisting your upward pull is building that muscle. So there's going to be resistance that arises in your body, but that's there for you to increase your capacity. It's like divinely designed. It's just a matter of, like, how do you face that resistance? How do you take radical self-responsibility, accept and love everything that's showing up for you, and choose differently? And how do you face the things that show up for you in your life that are reflecting back to you the reality that you're creating? You know, it's just a matter of consciously increasing your capacity to tapping into the dimension of love. And I'm super excited to share this work with you guys. I think it's going to be really powerful. And I'm still only 53 pages in, because I've had some other commitments this past week and haven't been working on it, but I'm finishing up those technical contracts, and for the rest of the year I'm really planning on diving full-heartedly into this book writing, and I'm so excited. I am. So thank you for watching another one of my videos, Soul Fam. I really appreciate it. I love you so much, and know that you are worthy to receive. Mwah.